Hi, I'm Microsoft MVP Tom Morgan. It's around 5 hours to go to Microsoft Build 2021, Microsoft's second virtual build. And so I thought it would be a good time to think about the things that we can expect to see from this event. So coming up in 5 hours time is the Satya keynote. And this is a half an hour keynote, so I don't think it's going to go on for ages. I don't think Satya is going to pass over to anyone else. I think it's going to be him talking. That's just my feeling, my guess. And I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what he talks about and where he goes. This is kind of my guess about what might be coming. I think he's going to touch on, obviously, the kind of experience we've all had in the last 12 months, but looking forward as well as people start to return to offices. I think there's going to be a lot around the people. I think we're going to see references to Viva, the work that Microsoft have done with Viva recently. I think he'll call on that and he'll explain, how that's helped people and will continue to help people as they kind of some work from home, some work from offices, and as we start to make that transition. And I expect there'll be kind of more coming on that as well. So I think he's going to talk about people. And this is referencing a blog post he put on LinkedIn a few days ago. So if it sounds familiar, that's why. So I think he'll double down on some of these things. I also think he's going to talk about this hybrid working. So Microsoft have been kind of gearing us up for this for a little while now. They came out, quite a long time ago now, maybe 3-4 months ago, when things were really uncertain, saying, when we go back, we're not just going to go back to offices like it was before. There's going to be this fundamental transformational shift. And we're going to end up as hybrid workforce, and some of the time we'll be working from home and remotely, and some of the time we'll be in offices. And how do we deal with that? And so I think they're going to talk more about that. I think Satya is going to talk more about that today. There's a really interesting video I'll put in about now, a really interesting video from the Microsoft Teams room system people about how Microsoft Teams is evolving to cope and respond to this hybrid working challenge. And it really feels like Satya has told his people to think about what's it going to be like when everyone goes back, when everybody's working, in this hybrid way, and how do we evolve the technology and how do we evolve the processes and the systems to deal with that. So I think we'll see more and more of that. Certainly the room system stuff is really interesting, and all that stuff is stuff that you can do today. The technology exists today. This isn't a concept video. All this stuff is kind of fairly real. So that's kind of really exciting as well. And then this is a developer conference, right? So it's not Ignite and everything, it's supposed to be for developers by developers, right? So I think we'll see a lot of that in the keynote as well. And I don't know, I think Satya will probably maybe kind of use developers as the glue to say, it's developers that are building these solutions that also need to change and also need to consider what it's like when people are working in a hybrid fashion. Microsoft are doing this. We're gearing our tooling around hybrid working. Developers, you need to be doing the same. And here's how Microsoft can help you. And there's a funny kind of irony, almost whatever, kind of like irony or co-option here, where actually development's really collaborative. And so developers also need all of these tools that they also need to go and build. So it's kind of slightly meta, but developers, really, really need to collaborate to get stuff done. And I think we all feel that, from working remotely all this time, some real good collaboration in person would be amazing and would really drive some projects forward right now. But also a lot of those projects that need to be worked on are in service of the rest of the organization being able to collaborate together. So lots of the tooling that Microsoft is going to kind of talk about, I think, over Build will be to help developers as well, help developers collaborate better, move forward better, and also tooling to help them build those solutions. If we switch from what I think about the Satya keynote and just switch to some of the session content for a minute, if we just look through the session catalog, I think we see that operationally built out, if you like. We see the evidence of that in the sessions that are coming. So, for instance, being able to build solutions that span across different workloads, to be able to kind of span across teams and across SharePoint and across Viva connections. That's a session. So Vesa Juvenin is giving a session that's literally called Build Solutions that Span Across Microsoft Teams, Viva Connections, and SharePoint. Okay, so this is a few things happening here. I think it's Microsoft helping developers build solutions that help people collaborate. But I think also alongside of that, it's a realization that, the Microsoft Teams juggernaut that has been powering through, the last several years, but so much so the last year, how that's, that is growing and growing, and people are spending more and more time in teams. But actually, those solutions also still need to cross across different workloads. So how do developers make those solutions that do that? So that's kind of one part of it. There's 2 sessions on the fluid framework and the fluid design system as well, which I think is really interesting. So this is the how. This is how developers are going to do that. Using that fluid framework technology sort of enables those kind of real-time collaborative scenarios. So, for instance, sessions like building apps for Microsoft Teams and the web with fluid framework, building great apps for Microsoft Teams using Fluent Design System, both sessions that you can go and find in the session catalog now. So yeah, I think that's going to be a real focus. This idea that collaboration is still important and it's changing, and developers have work to do to make sure that people can do really good collaboration, whether they're in the office, not in the office, or a mix. And I think making sure that everybody has an equal voice is really important as well. And Microsoft are definitely doing that in Teams, making sure that, in a Teams meeting, it doesn't matter whether you're in person or you're remote, everybody has an equal voice. I think Microsoft will be telling developers this is important for you as well. You need to be figuring this stuff out also. But also, as well as all of that, how Microsoft can take the Microsoft Teams success and expand it out into other workloads as well. Or, how developers can write solutions that work in Teams, but also work across all these other places as well. So that's kind of really high level, the things I think we might expect, the things I'm looking for in Microsoft Build. Yeah, so that's what I think's happening. Be interesting to know what you think as well. You can let me know. And as we go throughout Build, I'm going to be kind of covering the sessions, and I'll be covering the keynote, but also the session content as well. I'll be doing blogs, I'll be doing videos, and you can catch me on Twitter as well. So yeah, hope that's all useful. Really hope whatever it is you're hoping to get out of Build, you get out of Build. However it is you're consuming it, whether you're going to do it in real time, whether you're just going to catch it all on demand later. I think the on demand is a really great way of doing virtual conferences now. It doesn't take that long for the sessions to become available, and you can skim through them and you can watch them at 1.5 speed, which is fantastic. One tip I've got actually, if you are multiple time zones, so as in you are not in the Pacific time zone, so like me, you're in the UK, so we have a different time zone. One of the great things about all the sessions is there are lots of repeats. So if you want to catch a live session, you don't have to stay up all night to watch it. You can go and watch one of the repeats. If you're doing that, but you're adding those repeat sessions to your schedule, just one thing to note: if you're adding it to your schedule, but you're not totally certain that you're going to be there to attend it, but you kind of want to remember it and you want to be able to go and get the on demand later if you miss it, do that, but also add to your backpack the original version, not the repeated version. If you do that, then the original one is going to happen first. Okay, it's going to happen in the middle of the night when you're asleep, but it's not the repeated session, so it's going to be the first one that happens. It will happen first. That means that the recording will be available before any of the others. So if you want to get the first access to the recording as soon as possible on demand, make sure you go and add the first one to your backpack, even if it's not the one you're actually adding to your schedule. That's everything from me. Have a great Microsoft Build, and I'll see you on the other side.